The following is for entertainment purposes only. We are not financial advisors. We are not responsible for any losses, only the profits. Donation, it's Charlie. I'm going to be your host for today. Today we're taking a look at Juniper Industrial Holdings. Juniper Industrial Holdings Inc. They have a ticker under JIH.U. That is the units. Those come with one common and a half warrant. We'd like that full half warrant, not a ninth, not a quarter. We'll take a half. Those are currently going for $10.79. That is super low for what you get. I think it's awesome. The commons are going for $10.40. Still super low. Price sitting darn close to the floor. So worst case scenario, you might lose what? 2% on your money. Okay. The warrants are JIHW. All right. Those are going for currently about $1.05. So still, that's a good area to get in. This has got a MERS of $300 million. They are looking for a company valued in between $1 billion to $2 billion in North America. This is a 2-year, 24-month SPAC. We like them if they're less a little bit. I personally do, but you're going to find these guys kind of remind me of Hennessy. They're kind of slow to talk, super professional, but they're big on industry stuff, right? Like these guys are professional. They're not the super unicorn hype mater guys like the ones we were talking about yesterday. But I think this is a good backbone kind of play. All right, they've got 9.25 million at risk. They've got a crescent term on the warrants at $9.20. They've got basically about a year and 2 months left. So this one's not brand new. It's actually been out for a little bit, so closer and closer to the target, the higher the price is going to go. I think this is a good entry point. The target: industrial companies within the industrial sector, such as those within aerospace, I like that, and defense, so we got more defense, automation, I love that, construction, and industrial technology, among others. So I think all those are fantastic plays. I could sit there and dream for all day long thinking of cool targets they could potentially go after. Any ideas, always put them down below. Our management team has a track record of identifying market-leading technologies across the industrial spectrum and an affinity for businesses with strong brands and mission-critical offerings. Love it. Our management has I already just read that. So here is, this is Roger Fradin. He is the CEO. And over here we have the CFO, Brian Cook. Yeah. These guys have been working together. A lot of the team has been working together for a lot of years, and they're branching out and going at it. Mr. Fradin has over 40 years experience acquiring, building, and leading a diverse set of industrial businesses. Mr. Fradin began his career at Pitway Corporation, where he held a variety of roles, increasing responsibility, including President and Chief Executive Officer of Security and Fire Solutions segment. It's cool. And helped lead an entrepreneurial team which transformed Pitway to a $2 billion world leader in electronic security and fire systems. All right? These are like the companies people never realize exist or realize there's any money, but there's tons of money in like fire alarms and all that. In 2000, Pitway was acquired by Honeywell. Y'all ever heard of Honeywell? I have. For a long time, Honeywell. Shortly thereafter, Mr. Fradin assumed the role of President and Chief Executive Officer, CEO of Honeywell Automation and Control Solutions. In this role, Mr. Fradin transformed ACS from a business with $7 billion in sales in 2003, focused predominantly in the U.S. market, to a $17 billion in sales in 2014. You do the math real quick, that's over 2x the multiplier, all right? Fantastic job. So he moved them into more global territories, all right? All sorts of life safety products. I think they do the fire alarms that you put up on your ceiling and just turn them in. The ones that like beep all the time when the battery's almost dead. Those are like the Honeywell ones that I know very well. Okay. During his tenure at Honeywell, Mr. Fradin also served as vice chairman at Honeywell, where he was responsible for acquisition strategy for all of Honeywell. After retiring from Honeywell, Mr. Fradin was named chairman of Resideo, a leading provider of home comfort and security solutions. I've never heard of them before, but home comfort, security solutions, love it, all home stuff. Mr. Fraden recruited the CEO, senior management team, and board of directors, as well as installed all public company board processes and procedures. In addition, Mr. Radeo and Fraden currently sits on the board of L3 Harris Technologies, Inc. I don't know who they are. Do you? MSC Industrial Direct Company, or MSC Pitney Bowes, Inc. I've heard of them before. Not sure where. Pitney Bowes. Big industrial companies, okay? You might have heard of this one. GS Acquisition Holdings Corp. And several of the Carlyle Group portfolio companies in the capacity of the Carlyle Consultants. What is GS Acquisition Holdings Corp ding for me? Why is it ding for me? Because there's a new SPAC that just came out. Currently, he is in the board, or was in the board of directors for Goldman Sachs SPAC. Okay, so he was just the last Goldman Sachs SPAC. He was the CEO was one of the directors of it. Okay, so Goldman Sachs. I haven't done a video on them yet, but they actually have a new SPAC that's out. To me, that's one of those dumb buy ones, but we'll get to that another time. But anyways, this guy's even big with Goldman Sachs, so that's cool. Maybe there's some correlating factors with them. Mr. Brian Cook, the CEO, has over 20 years of experience within mergers and acquisitions, business development, strategic planning. He began his career at PricewaterhouseCoopers, or PwC, where he was responsible for providing businesses and financials due diligence and transaction structuring services to financial sponsors and corporate clients on a global basis. While there, his experience including Viacom acquisition of CBS. Okay, so he was in between that deal where Viacom bought CBS. It's huge. All right, Ford Motor Company's acquisition of Volvo Car Corporation. It's crazy. So he's got ties with Viacom and CBS, Ford, Volvo. He's also vice president of development substantially of global head and M&A at Honeywell. There's that Honeywell again, the fire detectors and all that, in which he oversaw a global team of approximately 25 people. And over the course of 17 years at Honeywell, Mr. Cook aided or led the execution of over 60 buy and sell transactions, most of which were attributable to the ACS segment in which he partnered directly with Mr. Fraden. Transactions include the acquisition of Novar PLC, Norcross Safety Products, and Intelligrated, among others. Safety products, big detectors. Love it. Unlike the recent flurry of IPOs associated with tech-related access, we have found, this was from an interview, I pulled some sections out, assets, we have found that most industrial companies offer potential investors attractive cash flow dynamics, which could also allow for dividends. Yeah, so he's trying to get kind of the long-term crowd on these, which is good. Share repurchase, growth investments, and a healthy M&A pipeline. So he's trying to bring in the long-term money. This isn't like this isn't going to be a super crazy, flashy SPAC is what I'm thinking. This is going to be like a long-term hold that you could hold on for years. It's always going to be there. It's probably already going to be cash flow positive. It's something that you can kind of just throw your money and just take care of it. I mean, especially at where we're getting it right now, almost at the floor. Okay. Most industrial companies operate within a more stable market, making themselves less susceptible to market disruptions. For example, secular growth trends continue to prevail against cyclical trends. Moreover, industrials are often critical to the overall health and stability of a global economy with their steep involvement in distribution, defense, and supply chain logistics. These same segments are often driven by industrial codes and standards that can help sustain their business models while presenting meaningful barriers to entry. Okay, so he's saying a lot of what they're looking at is modable, right? We've talked about that before. Businesses that no matter what happens are still going to be there. No matter what, people still need their fire alarms. Okay, even if the economy gets depressed, the slumlords still got to provide fire alarms with new batteries in them. Okay, no matter what. So I like these businesses, that they're kind of directing towards. They also said, we have our eye on several fragmented industry industries in which we would be able to acquire a company and execute a similar strategy. However, we're open to acquiring an asset in a consolidated subsector if it has other attractive upsides, such as potential for global expansion or unique channel presence. Brian and I must focus on finding a company that falls within or parallel to the industrial sectors we have been worked with in the past. And I like that. He just straight out comes and says it. He says, look, we're not going to go try to find and get into some industry we have no idea what we're doing. We're going to ride the pipe that we know, okay? We're going to keep riding this. And has the potential to roll other businesses into it, okay? So he's also looking at, maybe a company they could get and roll it into another one. Who knows what he's thinking there. Could be a battery company that's going to merge with the Honeywell detectors, or maybe a radar detector is going to merge with the fire company, something like that. Find a company that has senior leaders that have not only passion for what they do, but also an in-depth knowledge of their field. Okay, I like that. He's professional. Roger and I both firmly believe that the best SPAC assets are those companies in areas that will be in demand by the public markets, example, aerospace, automation, industrial technology, will be well covered by research analysts and have favorable trading comps. Again, like I brought up earlier, we could go anywhere with what I'm thinking this could be. It could be anything, okay? But I like the direction they're going. These guys are focused, they're professional. They're gonna come with something that's hardcore. You could probably touch it. Something that is moldable is gonna stick around and be there. Okay, I like this one. This is one of those questions I ask myself quite a bit is, if I was managing someone else's money, is this a business that I would put money in? This is one of those ones that I would. Okay, this isn't sketchy at all. It's not some like weird gambling app. The gambling apps and stuff, those are great, but they're still sketchy because they can get light switched. You're not going to light switch fire alarms or hard hats. Okay, everyone's still going to need steel toe boots and hard hats and fire detectors, stuff like that, no matter what happens. Okay, anything that did pop out, or maybe some about these guys that I don't. I tried to research tons of videos and any other interviews, past hints I could find. I couldn't find nothing. Okay, but again, that's sometimes a good thing. Just keep it where it's at. I'm gonna always leave the SEC filing in at the bottom of the video. This was reminding me though of an article that I read by a guy that hangs out on that Discord channel I keep talking about. The guy's name he goes by Ghostface Prodigy. Super smart dude. He wrote this article on EV, electric vehicle infrastructure, and space stocks. Okay, I'm sorry, and SPAC stocks, not space, SPAC stocks. But the more when I was looking up the Juniper stuff, I kept thinking about this article because I was like, man, maybe they didn't talk about anything electric vehicle, but it just kind of got my mind thinking. So I just kind of want to skim through this, and I'll leave the link to this in the description too if y'all want to take a look and read the rest of it. He says, there's no doubt almost all of you have been witnessing the current EV hype train market trend. The one thing I often see overlooked is the lack of infrastructure in place, right? Without this, our beloved shill SPAC, SPAQ, Nikola, and many others will struggle to reach full potential market capitalization. Totally true. Well put. Luckily for us, governments around the world have taken notice. Okay? Big money is being invested into sustainable infrastructure. The latest World Economic Forum reported on the future of nature and the economy is calling for over $3 trillion USD in funding and the creation of over 100 million jobs in this sector alone. This is going to get big, and it's trending high. Okay, 2030 global demand for new traditional sustainable infrastructure could amount to more than 90 trillion, while global electric vehicle charging station market is estimated to grow at 44.5% to reach 55.348 billion USD by 2016. So about 6 years from now, and that's something to pay attention to. So like these guys we're talking about, they could have an infrastructure play like that. Like, electric vehicles are rad, but where are you going to charge them? That was always one of the questions I thought about. Okay, you're driving somewhere in the boondocks or whatever, you're getting low on juice. What are you going to do? You got to find a charging station. Is there one in the middle of nowhere where you like to play around and drive around? I don't know, but eventually there's going to be. And who's the guys making the money on that? And this is one of those plays I always talk about being the middleman and how I love middleman companies. I would rather own the charging stations than one of these singularly EV vehicle companies. Okay, I want to own them all, but if I had to own one, it would be the charging. Okay, because it's supplementing all those. So no matter if this one goes out of business or this one or that one, or they all do great, you're still going to make money. Okay. So New York State is set to create over 50,000 charging stations alone. Okay. The Moving Forward Act in the Transportation Committee will focus on building new infrastructure that will meet the demands of mitigating climate change, according to the bill. This will dedicate $1.5 trillion over the next 5 years to remaining transportation across the nation on the metropolitan level by providing resources to the agencies that run them. $25 billion in funding for part of the bill is $25 billion in funding for the Postal Service for modernization of postal infrastructure. The section reserves $6 billion for the purchase of new vehicles. And I'm already in a play like that. I don't even know if I've talked about it. I'll talk about it here in a second. Light-duty vehicles, 100% of the total number of light-duty vehicles required by the federal entity for the federal fleet shall be alternative fuel vehicles, of which at least 50% shall be zero-emission vehicles or plug-and-play hybrids by fiscal year 2025. Okay, so you can see even the government is already with these bills. They're finally intact. They've finally got the money, and they're starting to secure companies to put that money into, all right? There's even big, huge rebate programs that are going around. Hydrogen fuel cell refueling equipment shall be eligible for a rebate under the new rebate program also. Secretary may provide financial assistance to the state to develop a state energy transportation plan, deploy a network of electric vehicle supply equipment. Lots of fantastic information here. So what would be the point of the EV hype train without the infrastructure? It's a good point. And he says, which states will announce expansion plans next? How much money will they throw at it? What government subsidies will help consumers transition to electric vehicles, which publicly traded companies are set to benefit? So he's got three that he mentions here. One is Blink, BLNK, EVSI, and Plug, PLUG. I think those are all the plays I was talking about where they're the charging stations, okay? So the branded charging station. I also was thinking how cool would it be to have the company or create the company that serviced those, okay? Like what if you're the only one that had the contract with like Plug or the Blink guys that were allowed to touch them and keep them under warranty or something, you could charge probably an insane amount. Okay. $1,000 minimum to show up and, twist some wires or oil it up or whatever you got to do, unplug it, replug it in, I don't know, flip the switch. And then he also brings up WorkHorse. Okay, WKHS is the ticker. This is one that I'm actually in. I've got a little bit in. These guys are making like these like, they kind of look like ice cream trucks, but kind of future-y. And the deal is they're electric. Okay, I think they're 100% electric. And they're one of the guys who submitted to the United States Postal Service, like we were talking about a second ago, to be the ones to make their new USPS trucks. Because those USPS trucks that's been around since like the 80s, I'm pretty sure those things get like 7 or 8 or 9 miles a gallon. They're not loud or anything, and but you wouldn't think it, but they're terrible on gas. So not only is it better for the environment, but they can save a ton of money. Can you imagine the millions and millions of dollars of bills they get from Shell every month at Shell or Chevron? It must be nuts. So anyways, they're actually going to be getting rid of those. And WorkHorse is the one I think that there is most likely to get picked up. So that's another cool play on that. Something to pay attention to. Also, SPACs or SHLL, the Spartans, SPAQ, Nikola, potentially KCAC, HCAC. I think that's right. Yeah. Huh? We already know about them. And then JIH, which is the one I was just talking about. That's probably what I thought about. That's probably where I correlate there. Yeah, that's Juniper. That's the one we're just talking about. So all these, and I'll leave a link to this. There's also some great graphs that he's gotten here if you want to take a look at it. But that's going to be it for this video. If you guys have any more plays you want me to take a look at, any really cool ones that just opened up. There's another one actually that just opened up today. It was like another $600 million one called like Dracanios or something like that. But that one's going to be cool. I'll bring that one up maybe next week or this week. But we got a lot coming through. Thanks again for the support, everybody. And if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. We got to prove this market. Let's keep making money. I'm going to keep trying to get these crazy early videos. You know, I've been waking up 3 a.m. for y'all. We've caught a couple so far this week. You know, we caught SPAC. You know, we got a lot of money to be made. Let's make it. Let's multiply it. Y'all have a good rest of the night.